I do mostly insurance work. Clients have been with me for years, and they just won't use anybody else because they get that trust and that faith in you that you're going to take care of them. I've done a couple cases for non-competes for big businesses, and we've tracked some people down that, they live in Philadelphia and they're working out in New York every day. And so it's hard to track them down, but, with time and patience, we do it.
We have a lot of cases where you got to follow your gut, take a chance. Jason, you have a really good example of that.
I remember a case that started in Los Angeles. I was actually hired by my client to do a workers' compensation check on this guy to see if he was working, and they had a really strong suspicion that he was. So we did some background information. We found out that he actually was a over-the-road tractor-trailer driver and that he was currently working. So what we had to do was gather some information that would let us know where he was going to be because he was constantly traveling all over the country. We had some information brought back to us that he was going to be picking up a load in Los Angeles and driving back up north. And we had narrowed it down to what times he was probably going to be picking up. So I went out there a few hours before he was scheduled to get there and set up a surveillance position right there at the loading docks, and I waited and waited. We had a small description of what his truck was going to look like, so I was looking for something like that, but we didn't have any definitive markings. So a few hours went by and I called my information source and I said, I don't think this guy's going to show up or something happened, can we confirm it? A few minutes later, they got back to me and said that he had already picked up at the location and was on his way up north, and he had left approximately 3 hours ago. So he was about 3 hours ahead of me, and at this point I didn't know whether I should go for it or not because he had such a good lead on me. I was debating whether to just call it quits at that point or just start driving north.
That's the one you called me on. I remember you called me and said, the guy's 3.5 hours ahead of me. What do you think I should do? Should I go for it? I said, go for it. Check the truck stops, maybe get lucky.
And that's what I did. I took off driving, and I was just driving up to every tractor trailer that I saw, trying to identify him. The client had sent me a photograph of him before I started the case, and I drove for about 7 hours all the way up.
Obeying the speed limit of all times.
Yes. I drove about 7 hours up towards Sacramento area when finally some information came back to me that he was going to be stopping at a truck stop. So I set up a surveillance, waited, and a truck that pretty much fit that description had pulled in, and as soon as the guy got out, I knew it was him by his height and his weight, but he had originally had a huge beard and everything, which was shaved off, and I remembered I had passed the guy on the highway heading up that way, but I didn't recognize him because he had shaved his beard. I presented the evidence to the client, and the client decided to send him some more paperwork, having him state how much earnings he had made, which he did, and it came back that he had been earning a little bit of money, but when we finally got to the bottom of it, we realized that his business that he was running was under his wife's name. Everything was hidden under her, the bank accounts, the earnings, everything was done under that name. The ironic part is that she's a local law enforcement officer where they reside, and she was involved with him doing this workers' comp fraud.